Brock Lesnar is back in the WWE. John, I'm sure you saw the news. What'd you think about the surprise that nobody saw coming last night?
Oh, I think it's fantastic. And, again, the easiest way to work people, Conrad, is when you're exposing everything. We talk about this every single week. When you're saying, oh, this is what we're doing, this is what you're doing with Unreal. That's the easiest way to work people. Same with Seth Rollins. Same with Brock Lesnar. I thought Brock, I love Brock. Since the day he's come in the company, he's a friend, and his character to me is one of the greatest of all time, and he looks absolutely fantastic. The good thing about Brock is Brock doesn't come back looking like Brock from 2004. Brock always comes back looking a little bit different, and he's always got a cool look. That's something that the young guys and the old guys out there should take note of.
I for one am pumped to see Brock Lesnar back, just because, man, I've missed him, and I loved the stuff he did with John Cena. And of course, we learned in the post show from Triple H that this was on John Cena's bucket list, his wish list for his last year of opponents. I kind of like that even more. I mean, I think most of us remember the magic they had. Gosh, what was it, like 11 years ago, that John Cena went to Suplex City over and over and over at SummerSlam. You were on that call, weren't you?
I called the match. I remember at one point I go, Jesus Christ. And, of course, they edited it, but it was just the reaction that, like, you've got to be kidding me. You're going to kill this guy. It was fantastic because no one expected that. Cena's on top of the world. Brock's on top of the world. You didn't expect a one-sided fight like that. But, in fights, things happen. Foreman and Frazier, he almost killed Frazier when Frazier was on top of the world. Things like that happen in legit fights. And so they scheduled this. They made this look like the exact same type thing. I thought it was just fantastic. So it makes sense that Cena would have something to come back to that one match that he had that he was so one-sided. This would be the good retribution for it.
Triple H actually said something like, this is John Cena's wish list. John Cena's, it's him writing the last chapter of his book. And I think people saw a conversation with us where he said he'd have to screw it up pretty badly to ruin his career. But it's not about that for me. It's about John being able to go out the way he wants to go out, to write his chapter. I know what that's like as a performer. I know what that's like for everybody to feel that. And I think for John to be able to do what he wants to do, one of the very first things I said to him is, who do you want and how? And we're working through that. So we know Brock Lesnar is next, but I think a lot of people are curious about what happened on Friday night. And I want to get your opinion on this. They just kind of did an about face and abandoned ship on the entire John Cena heel turn. I think a lot of us, when it happened at Elimination Chamber, were hopeful for what would come. And then respectfully, it didn't feel like they had a plan. What do you think happened there in reality, John?
I think sometimes when you draw something up, it's a great plan, and all of a sudden it doesn't work. And I think that's what it was. I've been in a million different planning sessions where you plan stuff. In sports, you plan something. You think you've got this great play. You think that you got this great strategy in business or in sports or anything. And all of a sudden you put it out there on the field or the ring or wherever you put it out there to implement it, and it doesn't work like you thought it would. And I think that's what happened here. You got one of arguably the greatest of all time, and John Cena, certainly on the Mount Rushmore of almost anybody's Mount Rushmore, 4 people. And he had something that was not resonant. I didn't think it was resonating. As well as, people wanted to see Cena. Yeah. And I'm not sure they wanted to see the heel set. I think they just wanted to, like, you know what? We just love this guy. We want to see him.
To me, it would have been like if they tried the Hulk Hogan heel turn in the last year of his career. At that point, we really want to celebrate what was. We want to celebrate the nostalgia. And I loved the intro graphic for him last night, where it was an all-black screen and the black and white letters like we've seen during this heel turn. But then it went right to and transitioned to the colors. It lets you know, nope, he's a babyface and he's back. But that's kind of a requirement if you're going to have him face Brock Lesnar. When Brock comes in, he's the bad guy, right?
He's kind of the bad guy. It's hard to say. Conrad, I have been in so many arenas when I've seen Brock Lesnar come out. And I know you've been in arenas when he's come out. It's dramatic, the change in the arena. You can sit there and watch. I don't care how many matches. I don't care how good those matches are. You can sit there and watch match after match after match after match. Brock Lesnar walks out, everything changes. The whole arena changes. It's the old Johnny Valentine. I may not can make you believe that wrestling's real, but I can make you believe I'm real.
Right.
That's Brock Lesnar. I mean, this is, to me, is just an incredible matchup of 2 of the all-time greats of all time. And, I hope Cena doesn't go away. I think he is, but I certainly hope Brock doesn't.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see what's next and how long this goes. Of course, the talking point for a lot of fans is it felt like the whole heel turn with John Cena was headed somewhere with Travis Scott and with The Rock. Now neither are around. There's lots of rumor and innuendo around that. Do you think that we're not going to see Travis Scott again? I mean, that's the report we've heard. Do you buy into that, or do you think there's something else at play? And do you think we'll ever see The Rock in the ring again? What do you think is next for those two?
Yeah, I definitely think we'll see The Rock in the ring again. I would bet everything on that. Rock loves being in the ring, and it's not just a matter of ego. I mean, the guy's the biggest movie star in the world. He's making a freaking fortune. It's not about ego. I don't believe it may be, but anybody who's a huge star, whether it's Jordan or Bill Russell or anybody out there, Schwarzenegger, when he was on top of the world back in the 90s, they all have a huge ego. There's nothing wrong with that. That's why they're big stars, because they're driven to be the best in the world. I think The Rock loves to be in the ring. And so I have no doubt. There's always a little bit of a doubt, but I pretty much have close to zero doubt that Rock's going to be in the ring again.
Hypothetically, we know that WrestleMania is going to be in Las Vegas again. They did the biggest gate they've ever done this year. You got to think they've got eyes on breaking that record next year. Do you think next year is when we finally get Rock versus Roman at WrestleMania?
I hope so. People have been wanting that forever. And, it's not like it's a finite window there, but, The Rock is not young, and so he needs to do it. He may have another 5 or 10 years of doing stuff. He's in incredible shape. He still looks better than all of us. He looks better now than I did at my peak. So I'm not going to say anything bad about it. He is older, though. I think he needs to get it done. And I think this is a perfect opportunity to do it. They want to break a record. And Rock's all about breaking records. So is Roman, by the way. That's important to these guys. It was important to me. It's important to anybody who's on top. You want to say, hey, I did this. I set the attendance record there. I set the WrestleMania record there. That's important to people. So I hope they do.
I do too. I think it's time. It certainly feels like people are wondering, hey, what's next for Roman? We're going to talk about that in a minute. But
SaveWithConrad.com. My name is Sergio. I'm from Lancaster in California. The motivation behind just following through with this refinance was I have a baby on the way. So just wanted to get everything in order. In the past couple of years, just afraid to pull the trigger, but then it just seemed like the right time to do it. I went to multiple banks, not only the mortgage I had, but then I went to you, and then I also went to several others. And it just seemed like your team, they were just completely honest and outright. Also, all the information was just laid out for me right there and then, answering all my questions in a timely, efficient manner. Diane was just so helpful and above and beyond accessible with both texting and emails and just any information that they needed. She would explain to me what exactly they wanted me to send, and then if there were any issues, she was able to just resolve them pretty quickly, versus other companies that sometimes it would take a couple of days to get some information. We were looking to pay down some debt, also looking into making some improvements to the home, also build up our backyard, do everything, especially for our daughter coming. By doing this cash out, it's a good amount that we're saving, between $1,000 and $1,500 a month, I would say. It helped out tremendously as well. My name's Sergio. I'm from Lancaster, California, and I saved over $1,500 a month with SaveWithConrad.com.
NMLS number 2129, Equal Housing Lender.
SaveWithConrad.com.